I think since we just today, there's going to be a rally and also free tests for people to actually go check, because you can't really tell if it's COVID or TB you're having, and people are scared. And you know it's free. Actually, it's very free. The checkup for TB is very free. The drugs will be given to you free. Check yourself and be sure that you're safe. So we'll let our viewers also know, if you're in Jos, please. The ride is starting from Old Airport, so wherever you see them, just go there, you're tested free, and also you get to take your medication.
So it's very important to create that awareness and sensitize people to know about this TB, because we often mistake it with this COVID. You know, when you go to the hospital and you see you're coughing, it's part of the symptoms of COVID. So people prefer to stay at home. Even when they are coughing, they prefer to stay at home and treat it at home. So it's better off
you associate yourself so that people can get to give you all those drugs. And thank God the awareness is taking place. It should not just be in the city. We should still go down to the village, because we have people who are dying. Like every day we have over 10,000 people who die for TB. So we should create this awareness even down to the grassroots level to sensitize people and even give them these free drugs. And that is really good, and I applaud the effort of the health sector in doing this, coming from different states. And we just hope that in other states there will be this rally and sensitization about this TB. So let's start with the papers we have this morning.
Okay, the first paper this morning is from the Vanguard newspaper, and we have Nigeria collapsing under APC rule, and this is coming from the PDP governors. And on 2023, Tambuwal meets Babangida. Adubsalami said PDP not zoning presidency. Capital importation falls to 31% to $6.7 billion in 2021. Detail of that can be found on page 19. And on APC convention, Buhari, APC governors insist on consensus candidates. And the writer following that story, governors trade off national chairmanship for presidency. We're in the process of picking consensus candidates. This is coming from the governors. Says anyone against consensus won't be stopped from contesting. Promise to support Buhari's candidate for chairman. We will hold successful exercise, and this is coming from Buni, and the screening committee extend the deadline. And the last writer following that story said Senate caucus meet with Buni-led CECPC today. And crude oil theft vandalism, we have Pengasa, Pendef, others tango over Niger Deltans rule. And detail of that story can be found on page 12. And still on 2023, Atiku officially declares for president, unveil 5-point agenda. Reps to investigate death of Nigerians in Indonesia. We have invested 3.4 trillion naira in Nigerian economy since 2001, MTN tells reps. And we also have picture stories here, and one of which is looking at a launch coming from the Lagos State Governor when he launched some cars that will be used to facilitate transportation in the state. I will really applaud him for that right step. And also looking at the fact that, because I think this story makes, I think the headline from our yesterday paper looking at the crude oil theft and the role that the Niger Deltas are possibly playing in it. I think it's really something we need to give attention. Since last year, Niger Deltas have been, crying, looking at the fact that oil spillage in their water. They have also been complaining of the fact that the quota that is supposed to come to them is not coming, and even the money that is being given to them, some people will actually siphon that money and then it doesn't go to the right channel. And if you take a look at the Niger Delta, especially the youth, they are actually suffering. I know there was a time when it was, I think, a war really there when it comes to the militants around there. So I think we need to really give attention to that, because if we are depending on oil as one of the key factors that we need to boost our economy, then we need to really pay attention to what is happening in the Niger Delta. What do we need to do to make sure that we equip the youths that are there? What can we do to see that they are being mobilized, they are being, looking at the fact that they are not idle? Because definitely when they are idle, definitely we'll see oil theft, and that is the breaking of pipelines here and there, and you know how they are really suffering that area. So we were just hoping that the government will actually give that sector an attention. Look at what can they do so that we can reduce that. I know the president has actually declared war, but I don't think war is always the way forward. What can we do? Can we sit them down and say, what do they want? I know this was done looking at the fact that they need to educate them. Some of them are being given scholarship to study abroad, but we need to do more. Because when it comes to unemployment, it's really, really eating deep. Just yesterday, I was really shocked looking at the number of people who actually registered for the Empower, the Part C. They said about 6.4 million youths are really registering for that empowerment. So imagine, we didn't get to everybody. So we need to sit down as a nation, say what can we do to see that we'll be able to fight this, that unemployment will not lead to other sectors falling down as a result.
Yes, and this has been a battle between the federal government and the Niger Deltas concerning the same issue, because there have been an outcry coming from these people because they are not getting back from the government. And when you look at the country, we are getting from these people, but what is going back to them is just little. They are deprived of their rights. And we had issues just last year when the percentage that is supposed to go back to these people, and they said, no, you get this oil from us. Why little percentage coming from us? We depend solely on the oil, because when you talk about fishing, we are not good with fishing because of those oil spillage. It's damaging it's killing the fishes and even spoiling the fertility of the soil. This is what we depend solely on, and it's not coming back to them coming from the federal government. We just need that. These people are the ones giving to us, so something good should go back to them, something tangible to go back to them. First, their educational sector. You see that even when you see videos of such places, their schools are dilapidated. Students find it very difficult to even go to school because of the condition of the schools in the Niger Delta. Something needs to be done about this. We should give back to these people for them to even have this belief and trust in us, because if we are deprived of this oil, definitely we won't have issues with our oil, but something should go back to these people. That is just the plea. Something needs to go back to these people so that they should live comfortable. They should not be deprived of their rights, because as it is now, it's just like being deprived of their rights, and it's not good, and it's not giving us a good figure.
Thank you so much, Tosin. That's all on the Vanguard newspaper.
Thank you, Sele. Moving to the Leadership newspaper on Electoral Act. National Assembly set for showdown with executive over Abia Court verdict. And FEC approves 92.1 billion naira for second Abuja Airport runway. To 2023 PDP governor Sean Atiku's declaration meets in Abia. Details can be found in page 7. And Ukraine NATO chief warns Moscow ahead of emergency meeting. The big story on national chairmanship. APC governors concede to PMB on consensus candidate. Says will support president anointed aspirant. Pressure mounts on other aspirants to step down ahead of convention. Buni meets senators today. Outcry in Edo as Obaseki sacks 514 workers. And no fewer than 514 workers of the Edo State Sports Council have been relieved of their jobs by Governor Godwin Obaseki with effect from March 21, 2022. The approval to this effect is contained in a memo dated March 4, 2022. The memo stated that the affected workers, who are junior, senior and management staff, are part of the government transition plan from the now defunct Edo State Sports Council to the Edo State Sports Commission. The memo stated that while the affected staff will be immediately paid their 1 month in lieu of notice, their pension payments will commence in April 2022. The approved memo by the governor is titled Staff of Edo State Sports Council to Edo State Sports Commission. The memo reads, following the assessment for the establishment of the Edo State Sports Commission, we have completed the assessment of staff of the defunct Sports Council who possess the requisite skills set to transit to the new Sports Commission. In the foregoing, we have carefully reviewed the organization structure for the new Sports Commission and assessed the existing staff of the defunct council against the required competence required to operate in the commission. Meanwhile, the affected staff yesterday protested their sack by blocking all roads leading to the Samuel Ibonidiam Stadium in Benin City. Some of the protesters who spoke with journalists noted that they were shocked to receive a circular of their disengagement from the Edo Civil Service and were asked to reapply as casual staff. One of the protesters and former Paralympian, Patience Ibite, said, "I've been here for over 20 years as a permanent staff member, and all of a sudden you disengage me. This is really sad, and it has a way of affecting these people, like relieving people of their duty without prior notice." And this is what is happening in Edo State, with the fact that we are complaining about no job opportunity in the country, that we keep on seeing where organizations relieve staff without prior notice. This is really sad, because if you relieve them of their duties, you should give them notice so that they can prepare and even adjust themselves to these changes that will come all of a sudden. With protests, our country, we have this bad image when we see people protesting because of what happens even along the protest. But we're just hopeful that the state will do something about it, since they are given the opportunity to reapply. After reapplying, they should be taken back. And also, we just need, that's why I said we need our callers to call. We have callers even in Edo State. We need you to call to talk about all the stories and how it's affecting. Then we just hope that the governor of Edo State will do something about it, because this is not time we need people to be idle again, roaming around the street. Because when you see idle minds, they are the devil workshop. The devil easily use these people, just like you said on this Empower. Look at the number of people applying. Then you see people again being relieved of their duty. Is really sad, but we're just hopeful that the Edo State government will do something about it. And still on the Leadership newspaper, 5,000 residents around Lekki Deep Seaport may relocate. And the picture story, we can see the commissioning of over 1,000 vehicles in Lagos State by the Lagos State governor. And sadly, I would like to applaud the work of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, because we've been having issues with the BRT buses, the killing and even transport system, even not just in Lagos State, around the country, where you see the rape students and even kill them. They rape female, do all sort of illegal activities. And now you can see this. We just hope that it will be painted and it will be numbered, and people have the access to even take the plate number when you are boarding all these vehicles. Just this week we saw the video of all these Uber class cars where the lock for the car that's inside the car will be removed for them to easily kidnap people. So many illegal activities, unlawful things are taking place even with the transport system. But with all these cars being commissioned and launched in Lagos State, we just hope that something will be done and there will be close check so that whoever is boarding all this car, we know that his or her safety is guaranteed, because we need safety of people to be guaranteed. And we just need even all these cars even across the country, because having the painted buses is not enough. We still see illegal activities taking place. Having the Uber, having the Bolt are not enough. They still manipulate and do all sort of things. So with all these cars coming forth, there should be close security check on people boarding and their safety being guaranteed. That's all on the Leadership newspaper.
Okay, a look at this day newspaper. Federal government talks tough, moves against oil thieves as Buhari deploys silver. Kyari, CDS to the Niger Delta. Your days are numbered, Minister tell saboteurs. And still other stories. We have PDP Governors lament fuel crisis, reject unsubstantial subsidy claims. Detail of that story can be found on page 10. And the picture story here we have is President Muhammadu Buhari meet with APC governors ahead of the convention at the Council Chamber State House Abuja yesterday. And other stories here we have, for the 6th time Atiku declared presidential bid. Saraki intensified consultation meets PDP stakeholders. Still on APC convention, Buhari governors agree on consensus candidates. Settle for Abdullahi Adamu as consensus candidate for chairman. President warns against treaty gain of 7 years away meet chairmanship aspirants. Those against consensus free to run, says Bagudu. And we have Buni warns media against igniting crisis as committee extends screening. And the party optimistic about court judgment on Ayade and deputy. And we also have, I think, an international story here. The U.S. first female Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, dies at 84. And more of that story can be found on page 41. And that's all from this day newspaper.
Thank you, Sally. On this day newspaper, federal government talks tough, moves against oil thieves as Buhari deploys Sylvia, Kyari, CDS to Niger Delta. Your days are numbered, Minister tells saboteurs. On the Nation newspaper, Gwanyi Oladipo, 35 others in PDP zoning panel. And Soyinka decries protests over OAU Vice Chancellor. Agitations crazy. Millions gone as fire raises Lagos Benue markets. Give us another chance. PDP governors beg Nigerians. Atiku promises to manage Nigeria better. Are we excited? No, because we've had much more promises than this. And what happened? They were not fulfilled. And still on the Nation, MTN shuffles ESCOs across 3 markets. The big story on the Nation, Buhari governors agree on Adamu as consensus chair. The rider, Senator Nnamani South, Senator Kyari North, and endorsed as deputy chairman on unity list. No election at convention. Other chair aspirants to get refund of nomination fee. National Assembly to appeal judgment voiding Electoral Act Section 84, subsection 12. Courts can't stop lawmaking. IMF ready to lend more to Nigeria. And Sanwo-Olu launches Lagos ride with 1,000 cars. Oyo government set to hand over CCI to Old Boys Association. Man rapes, man rapes, kill landlady. Story can be found in page 2 of The Nation, and that's all the news on The Nation newspaper.
Okay, let's take a look at the Al Jazeera newspaper. Atiku declares for presidency as PDP zoning controversy rages. And detail of that story can be found on page 26. And the APC zoning formula, Dogara, Yuguda, kick over exclusion. And detail of that also can be found on page 8. And still on the National Convention, we will support Buhari's candidate for APC chairman, governors assured. And on Niger, we have rollover on felt impact of the federal government 55 billion naira bailout funds. I think this is the time for audit so that they will know actually what happened to the 55 billion naira bailout that was given to Niger. Let's just be sure that nobody is actually siphoning that money, but because if we take a look at what Niger have gone through for quite a number of, I think, times right now, looking at the killing just this year alone, you will know that actually that state has really been shook by insecurity. So I feel this bailout should actually be used in the right way. Let us not have people or little individuals that will pocket this money down, because it's more like taking a blood money, I will feel, because there are people who are, suffering. Lots of people are in hunger, poverty, and somebody somewhere is actually keeping that money. It's not right. I think this is a time for auditing to be done. Let's be sure that that money that was given, not just in Niger State, I think there's an eye-opener to other states also in the nation, that bailout is being given and that money is not used. So we hope that an auditing will be done to be sure that the money is used well. And coming from Kaduna, the death toll in Kaduna bandit attack rise to 37, and detail of that can be found on page 10. Looking at the fuel scarcity, NNPC releases fresh 516.43 million liters of the PMS. Well, it's not for us just to know the number, but it's for us to know that the fuels are actually at the field. Yeah, exactly, because till date, the transport festival, I feel maybe looking at it, maybe the taxi drivers and drivers are becoming very comfortable with the price, and you cannot even bargain with them because the price has come to stay. But I feel it's something it will be able to have this access to the fuel. If they're able to have access to fuel, it will even tell in food prices, because you can't go to the market right now buy the okra of 200 naira. You won't be able to even cook anything with it because everything is high right now. Inflation prices have affected everything from transport to food and every other thing. So we just hope that with what the NNPC have done, looking at the fact that they are making fuel available, that it also tell that farmers to be able to be able to transport their goods to the market at a very, very, very comfortable without having to go through stress as a result of that. And even we know that even our health sector has been affected, because patients will need surgery, and later on they will tell you need to buy diesel for us to be able to carry out this operation. So we just hope that when all this is available, things will become back to normal in the nation.
Yes,
Still on the Al Jazeera newspaper, section 84 subsection 12 of the Electoral Act, the National Assembly to appeal court judgment. And on air transport fare surges by 22.95%, bus rises 30.93% in February. And this is not good. Just like I said, I hope all things will come back normal. And that's all on the Al Jazeera newspaper.
Thank you, Sele. On Daily Sun newspaper, APC governors bow to Buhari on choice of chairman, saying we'll back whoever president supports. Umahi tackles PDP leaders, says wicked blackmail against us won't succeed. PDP governors roar over bad state of affairs, list Buhari's failure, urge Nigerians to reject APC in 2023. Opposition party replies presidency, accuses APC government of failure. Days of downfall rickety commercial vehicles in Lagos numbered. This is coming from the governor of Lagos State. And on the Electoral Act, senators, reps team up against Malami to appeal judgment, threaten to report judge to NJC, process of deleting section 84 subsection 1 ongoing. This is coming from the AGF. Abia Guba Governor's foot soldiers organized groups to support power rotation in Isialangwa. And details can be found in page 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Morning fire affects Apombon Bridge in Lagos. Federal government gives traders on the bridge 7 days ultimatum to vacate. The federal government on Wednesday gave all traders and other illegal occupants on the over 20 bridges in Lagos final ultimatum to vacate before March 31st or face forceful eviction. The Director, Highways, Bridges and Design, Mr. Oluropo Uyetade, gave the ultimatum during an emergency meeting between Federal Ministry of Works delegation and Lagos State government officials to review the Apombon Bridge fire on Wednesday. The news agency of Nigeria reports that firefighters battled frantically to put out the inferno under the Apombon Bridge on Wednesday morning. Oyetade announced the ultimatum from the Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, to illegal occupants of the bridges in Lagos to vacate before March 31st or face forceful eviction and sanction. He described the damage to Apombon Bridge as an avoidable incident. According to him, the government cannot continue to build and allow irresponsible attitude of Nigerians to damage such infrastructure built with huge resources. The director said that all federal controllers of work have been directed to clear encroachers on all bridges nationwide, while lamenting similar fire incidences to bridges in Ajaokuta and Kano State recently. He also condemned the activities of illegal sand dredgers that removed the soil under the third mainland bridge to jeopardize the safety of the infrastructure. So you can see all this happening, but the quick response where they're saying the people should be evacuate people, they're giving them the ultimatum of 7 days so that they can walk on these bridges, because the damage, the morning fire even on the Apombon Bridge, it took away lives and even businesses, shops also were burnt. So this is really alarming. So something needs to be done, and I just hope that these people will evacuate these places. Even given the 7 days ultimatum, the Lagos State government have said that even if they don't leave, they will be forcefully evacuated from those bridges. We don't need people to be staying around those places and even dredging the sand in those bridges. And you can see it's causing damage. We've had stories of bridges collapsing, and now we can see the fire outbreak in those bridges, and it has affected lives and even properties. So we are grateful for the quick response of the government state concerning this. And still on the Daily Sun newspaper, 2023, Atiku formally joins presidential race, 6 PDP tickets, promises to rescue Nigeria. Tambuwal rules out zoning in PDP, meets IBB, Abdul Salami in Mina. And this story can be found in page 6 and 26 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And on 2023, INEC seeks Abdul Salami's Peace Committee intervention to curb violence. We have picture stories. We have the picture story of the fire under Apombon Bridge, Lagos Island yesterday. Traders salvaging their wares during the incident. And we have another picture story. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu of Lagos State with his deputy Obafemi Hamzat, an ambassador of China to Nigeria, and we see the commissioning of the 1,000 vehicles that will help in smooth running of transportation in Lagos State. And even with this, we'll have those rickety cars, and we'll have less issues of illicit acts happening even on the highways. So those are all the stories on the Daily Sun newspaper.
Okay, let's take a look at the Voice of Liberty. 2023 presidency. Forget zoning, give ticket to who can win, Tambuwal tells PDP. Worsening insecurity, Northern Group's Forum urges Buhari to sack service chiefs. I think this is not the first time we're actually having stories about the service chiefs being sacked. It's not about sacking them, but it's about having competent people. We need intelligence when it comes to insecurity, because I keep saying this and I'll not get tired of saying this. We cannot keep operating in the same way and expect to see different results. We need to change things. If the bandits have changed the way they were attacked, then as intelligent people, because we definitely have intelligent people in the various sectors when it comes to our security, then we should also change the way of running things. If we need to also use bikes because the roads are bad, then we need to use the bike. If we need to get power bikes, let's get those, or whatever it would take, because we have those resources. If it needs, because I think the federal government will always borrow to do. If we can borrow to see that we fix insecurity, to see the environment will be palatable, then we will see that even the agricultural sector will start thriving well. Every other sector will fix well. We'll be able to even, look at how investors can come in, and before we realize it, our economy will be back. So whatever it will take us to do, we should do it. It's not just about having to sack and bring new people, but the new hands we are bringing in, would they be able to handle what is happening? Would they be able to see that we fix insecurity? It's a question we need to ask ourselves, and it's a question that the serving chiefs need to ask themselves. If they need to even bring in intelligence that are not even in the military, then they should bring them in, and let's see that we fix insecurity and not keep operating the way we've been operating for the past years. Still on the Voice of Liberty, Senate to appeal ruling notifying the Sector 84. Okay, let me take that story again. Senate to appeal ruling notifying Section 84, subsection 12 of the Electoral Act. Electoral Act. House of Reps condemned the court judgment to report Joshua NGC for empowering Attorney General of the Federation, Malemi, to delete Section 84, subsection 12. And on National Convention, we will support whoever Buhari support, APC governors, ahead of the March 26 National Convention of the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. The state governors have said they will support whoever President Muhammadu Buhari supports. The APC governors met with President Buhari yesterday in a closed-door meeting in the Executive Council chamber of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. We can see a picture story here where they're deliberating ahead of their convention come Saturday. And on 2023 election, a choice between unity, progress, division, backwardness. This is coming from Atiku. Your days are numbered, Tamber Silva tells crude oil thieves, pipeline vandals. And on the international scene, we have peace negotiation with Russia difficult, says Ukraine President Zelensky. And that's all from the Voice of Liberty.
Thank you, Sela. Before we move over to the next papers, we'll be right back after this time out. Welcome back. Still on the program from the Dailies. Our phone lines are open. Do well to call about stories that interest you. We have some comments from our Facebook lovers. We have Mr. Petwell said, thanks for your love. We send our love back. And thanks Mr. Jonah Sharma for your observation. That's have been rectified. Still moving to the next paper, we have the Guardian newspaper. And PDP governors resolve to change leadership in 2023. That's for the Guardian newspaper. The writer says Ishaku, Autumn, Ugwanyi, Fayoshe, 34 others in panel on zoning. Article says 2023 is choice between greatness or destruction. Fintiri dumps governor's camp for Atiku. Lawmakers excited over Saraki's presidential ambition. Rising from their meeting in Obingwa, Abia State yesterday, People's Democratic Party governors under the aegis of PDP Governors Forum resolved to change leadership of the country, describing the All Progressive Congress government as uncaring and insensitive to the plight of Nigerians. They said the ruling party has become a menace in Nigeria. They consequently urged Nigerians to reject the APC, which they said is disorganizing and as such cannot offer good governance to the people of Nigeria. In their post-meeting communique read out by the chairman and Sokoto State Governor Alhaji Aminu Tambuwal, the governors unveiled the readiness of the PDP to take over and offer qualitative leadership option to rescue the nation. We lament the terrible pain and hardship facing Nigerians in virtually all aspects of life, which inasmuch was much better in 2015 under the PDP than today under the APC, the governors said. And we can see the picture story, governors under the APC and even governors under the PDP. Defection, Ayadin knows fate tomorrow as Umahi remains unworried. Death toll rises to 37 in southern Kaduna as youths burn headers settlement. Senate resolves to appeal against ruling on contentious section in Electoral Act. And controversy trails COVID-19 test for travelers as nations open up. That's all on the Guardian newspaper.
Okay, let's take a look at the Daily Trust. 2023 Atiku unveils 5-point agenda. And on the Electoral Act, the National Assembly to appeal judgment on contentious section. And looking at the APC chairmanship, governors bow to Buhari, agree on Adamu, with the rider saying president gives them 24 hours to finalize unity list. Meets aspirants solicit support for the ex-Nasarawa governor, and others refund of money to contenders affected by the consensus. And we have another wonderful. Nigeria lost over 2 million birds in 391 farms, and that is to show that possibly there might be an outbreak of bird flu, and people should really be very observant. Take a look at your birds. The immunization they're supposed to be given to them, give them, make sure they are being protected from all the wild birds. I think this is an eye-opener to those who run the poultry farm, and even for just home consumption, it's important that we take a very good look at that sector. Other stories still on Daily Trust. Northern petroleum marketers to suspend sale over transport claims. Detail of that can be found on page 22. Foreign airlines trap phone in Nigeria hit 117 billion naira. Bandits release 75 kidnapped Zamfara resident with whole 6-year-old girl. We hope that the girl will be finally rescued, and also she will get to be united with her family. And the picture story here is still about the morning fire that took place on the bridge in Lagos. And we just hope that next time we'll take very careful, and also just like you raised the fact that the warning that has been given by the federal government for them to vacate, they will do just that. And that's all from the Daily Trust newspaper.
And on Nigerian Tribune, Nigeria a sinking ship needing urgent rescue. This is from Atiku, says 2023 a choice between unity or division. On Electoral Act, National Assembly to appeal judgment on Section 84, subsection 12. We are working to implement court order. This is from AGF. Bajabiamila wants Malami against hasty enforcement on ruling. Lagos ride. Sanwo-Olu rolls out 1,000 cars for taxi scheme. And Pengasan blames fuel scarcity on lack of forex. Traditional worshippers dissociate self from invasion of OAU campus. Lagos Free Trade Zone investment to hit $461 billion in 45 years. This is from NEPSA. And APC governors endorse Buhari's choice for party chairman as zones work toward consensus candidates. Adamu Musa Al-Mokura, Akume Mustafa Omisore face screening committee. Senate caucus meets CCPC today. And the last story, FEC okays 92.123 billion naira contract for Abuja Airport second runway. And that's all the news on the Nigerian Tribune.
Okay, the New Telegraph. Energy crisis. 90% oil to transnational pipeline vandalized. And on debt toiling allocation worsens state's burden. And detail of that can be found on page 25. And on 2023, again, Atiku declares for presidency, saying Nigeria in need of visionary leadership. Kalu's taxpayer protection bill passed second reading in Senate. Non-service store hearing of Kyari extradition suits. And still on 2023, reject APC, save Nigeria from total collapse. This is coming from the PDP governors. And on the big story on the paper here, it has Electoral Act saga, National Assembly to appeal judgment on Section 84, subsection 12. With the rider, we can't be ridiculed. This is coming from Bajabia Mida. Deletion work in progress. This is coming from the Attorney General Madani, and detail of that story can be found on page 2 and 5. And just like I say, concerning the Electoral Act, it's something that we know that there's separation of power, even though we know that the legislative are the lawmakers, but we need the judiciary to do an eagle eye to those laws. So having the executive get to interfere when it comes to that, I think this is what the House of Reps are actually kicking against, knowing the fact that the court actually give the Attorney General, and the Attorney General is an executive because he stands with the executive from that point of view. So we just hope that they will come and there should be an understanding. Just like I said, we don't want to go backward when it comes to election. Calendar has already been set. They are already work in progress. APC is working on their convention. PDP are working on that. And even as a nation, I think as people that will go out of it, we also need to have our convention to sit down and see who are the people that are capable to run this country. It's not about the party anymore, but it's about an individual that has the heart of Nigeria at heart. I keep saying this, we're tired of having this party come, this party go, and then the blame keeps coming on and on. No, we want somebody that knows, that has a vision for Nigeria, that actually have the heart for the masses. Looking at what we're going through, you know that you have a lot of work to do. We don't want you to come into, when you finally emerge as a role, you begin to push the blame. It's because of this, it's because of that. No, but let's know that you actually have what it takes to run the nation. So we just hope that, looking at the Electoral Act saga that is going on, that things will work out well, even though they are still working on it, and to Gerald, they still work on progress. So we're still hoping, our fingers across, to see what will be the outcome of this.
Yes, Sele. Before I move to the next paper, I would like to read some comments on our Facebook, coming from Nuhu Babajo Yunusa, saying, "Thank you for the update. May the Lord uphold Equa TV to continue to speak the truth. Thank you." And Jonah Sharma says, "Life in southern part of Kaduna is really hard and almost unbearable. Our political class from the southern part of Kaduna are not talking out. Please let us pray for southern parts of Kaduna. Even in your closet, pray for the affected nations, pray for the affected state, and pray for Christians that are going through persecution." Going through the Punch newspaper, telecom subscribers grew by 2.3 million in January. Better leadership. We've had similar stories like this, even much more in the present administration, but when given the mantle of power, we can see it for ourselves. Southern Kaduna boils, death toll hit 37, church attacked, settlement raised. Buhari orders silver, carry CDS to halt crude oil thefts. And report where your husband reside. NYSC tells married prospective corpers. Baron behind Ghana bound 11.13 Baron behind Ghana-bound 11.913 kg cocaine arrested. 1.9 million tramadol, codeine seized. National Assembly plans appeal tackles judge. Malami insists on amendment. This is still on Electoral Act with the rider. Bajabia Miller asks Attorney General not to tamper with Electoral Act. Court ruled that the provision be deleted, not part of our law. This is from Malami. And APC moves to bar appointees from voting at convention and also from primaries. 1,000 taxis will provide employment, says Sanwo-Olu. And thugs invasion. Court order mother to sweep son school for 6 months. Court remands man for allegedly abducting, raping Ekiti SS3 student for 3 years. And on slapping, ground berates Bianca Ojukwu, Obiano's wife apologizes to Soludo. And this is not just enough apologizing to Soludo, apologize to Anambra State. The citizens in Anambra State got it was an embarrassment to those people on a day like that, a day that should be remembered for good. But all these things happening among these women, and even in the month where we are still celebrating the International Women's Day, then we see women giving out this kind of attitude that is not appealing and appalling even to the audience. Autonomy, disregard Fayemi Akeredolu opposition, Nod tells Buhari. Lagos short damaged Eko Bridge as fire destroys market. Traders lament. Umahi meets Buhari, says presidential ambition, God's project. That's all on the Punch newspaper.
Okay, and coming from the Daily Independent newspaper, PDP governors lament rising inflation, unemployment, forex shortage, with the rider says national grid collapsed 126 times in 7 years. 2023 poll will be choice between progress and backwardness. This is coming from Atiku, says he is unified, coming to burn broken union. And still from on the Electoral Act, we have National Assembly to appeal judgment deleting Section 84, subsection 12, with the rider to petition the NGC against Federal High Court judge. Federal government undergoing progress to delete the Section 84, subsection 12. Increase in evil act despite many churches worrisome. This is coming from Kumoyi, and this is really a sad one, looking at the fact that the more we are having more Christians, more churches, yet we're having lots of activities that are not supposed to be even be set or supposed to even be associated with. Yes, Nigeria is a secular country, but yet we have numbers of Christians that represent Christ in various areas. So I think this is a call coming from the overseer of Deeper Life for us to rise up and know that we are the light and we need to shine wherever we are. Other stories still on Daily Independent. We have the Federal Executive Council okays 92.123 billion naira for the second runway at the Abuja airport. Sanwo-Olu launches taxi scheme, rolls out 1,000 cars. Detail of that can be found on page 7. Senate passes re-amended proceed of crime bill, and detail of that can be found on page 29. And the last story I'll be reading says Buhari unites APC governors ahead of the national convention, with the rider who will support president's candidate for the national chairman. This is coming from the APC governors. APC Senate caucus meets with Buni CECPC today. And any story that is of interest to you, get the Daily Independent and you can read detail of that.
And on national economy, Senate confirmed 7 members of CBN's Monetary Policy Committee. Energy crisis threatens Nigerians' 2022 GDP projection as productivity declines. Senate passes re-amended proceeds of crime bills. FCCPC engages multi-choice over DSTV GoTV subscription hike, and MTN Group's appointment. That's all on national economy.
Okay, let's take still on business. We have the Business Day newspaper. Nigeria faces slower economic growth in 2022. And we have a story here, and this is coming from Economics of the Intelligence. Do well to read that story, and the continuation is also on page 30. And we have on 2023, Atiku pledges to prioritize economy and security. Federal government in talks with Broseed Airbus over Nigerian Air. Bank loans at risk as businesses struggle. And we have the Nigerians' health outcome lack peers despite higher spending. And that's all from the Business Day newspaper.
Thank you, Sele. The last paper I'll be reviewing this morning is the Business Standard newspaper. Here we have how Bangladesh is failing its battle against air pollution, death in the air. Development project tied up in cases among government agencies, and Bangladesh scientists discover a new cause for diabetes. This is really good. And still, marking the World TB Day, we still need to find out new cause for this tuberculosis, and how scientists can discover new vaccines and even medicine to cure tuberculosis. And we have other diseases also, how we can find new methods of curing all these diseases. And that's all on the Business Standard. We have Mr. Stephen from Makurdi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Stephen, and that's how far we can go on this program this morning. Thank you, Sele, for doing this with me, and thanks to all our viewers who commented, and even thanks to all who called on the program this morning. Have a good morning and enjoy the rest of your day.